What's up, guys? This is Ray, and welcome to Asian Filmist. And the last time I checked, it's still February, and you know what that means? I'm still punishing myself by watching or rewatching all these romantic movies to come out of Asia and continue to talk about them with you guys. And the movie we're going to be talking about today is the 2016 Japanese film My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday. It's directed by Miki Takahiro, who's kind of the go-to guy for pretty much any romantic movies that come out of Japan. Well, not any, but he has a huge filmography of just romantic movies or shoujo manga adaptations. And this movie stars Fukushi Sota and Komatsu. And so the story of My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday, it's kind of deceptive in that it starts off as your typical boy meets girl, boy falls in love with girl at first sight, boy works up the courage to confess his feelings even though girl who has no idea who he is, but then they kind of start off in this relationship. And after the 40-minute intro, yeah, you heard me right, it's a 40-minute intro. At the 40-minute mark, we finally get the title of the movie displayed on the screen, but it's at that point that Emi, the lead girl, reveals this secret to Takatoshi, the boy, and the secret that kind of separates this story from other stories of this genre. And I'm not entirely sure, but I think none of the trailers actually reveal what this secret is, and because of that, I won't reveal what it is here either. But before we dive into that, let's talk about the positives and negatives I felt were in My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday. And first, the positives, of course. First, I thought the performances of Komatsu and Fukushi Sota were done very well. I mean, I think I'm pretty much used to Fukushi Sota being a very loud and charismatic actor, especially in his characters. But this is kind of one of the only times I've seen him play kind of a shy and soft-spoken and awkward boy. And I have to admit, at first, because I love Fukushi Sota when he's loud and charismatic, that it kind of got me, kind of took me a while to get used to this kind of character he was portraying. At first, I didn't like it. It felt just really awkward. But then, you kind of get used to it as the story goes along, and you come to like it. And Komatsu, I thought she was adorable, and I think she's kind of come along as an actress. I think when I first saw her movies, years ago, I thought that she kind of had a blank face for most of the time, but she's definitely come a long way, and she really shows that in this movie. She's bright, she's colorful, she's lively, and she's just adorable to watch. And the way the camera work captures each of the characters, I wouldn't be surprised if you fall in love with either of these characters. I mean, Fukushi Sota, he's a heartthrob on his own, and Komatsu, she is beautiful. And the characters they portray, they're likable on their own too. I mean, as I said, Takatoshi, Fukushi Sota's character, comes off and at the start as a bit awkward and a bit shy, but then you come and get to know him, you come to get to know his story, and you come to like him as the story goes along. And Komatsu plays Emi very well, and Emi, she's a kind of enigmatic character. You really don't know what she's about. Like at the beginning of the story, you kind of come up with these theories as to how Emi does what she does. She kind of has this precognitive ability, this skill to just foretell what's going to happen next, and both Takatoshi and the audience are wondering as to how it works. And I really like the character arcs of both characters. You see Takatoshi grow from this awkward lad to this kind of confident guy who's honest with his feelings and knows exactly what he wants to do. And you kind of go through the same with Emi, though in kind of a different way. And at first you don't really see Emi's character arc. You really don't see her growth. That is until you find out what the secret is and you see the way the story unravels, especially in the final act, when you kind of go back and you realize that, what was indeed happening the whole time. And this movie, as with a bunch of Miki Takahiro's other films, it's an honest tearjerker, and it's definitely bound to make you cry, especially if you're weak like that. And this movie, this is an adaptation of a novel. It's not a mere shoujo manga adaptation. And that being said, this film is surprisingly mature for the kind of audience it seems to target. You have these two young hot actors who all the high school students seem to flock towards, but the story that this movie tells, it's surprisingly mature. I feel like the content can be suitable for not only the high school students, but any adults for that matter. And so now let's talk about the negatives. I harbor both love and hate towards the big secret, towards the big twist in this story. I like it because it's, as I said earlier, it separates this movie from a lot of other movies in the same genre. But at the same time, it creates a lot of loopholes, especially if you're trying to think through it logically. The film kind of dives into some fantastical backgrounds in order to deliver its twist. And you can either forgive it and just take the story for what it is, or you can just, try to think of it in a very logical fashion, trying to think, this doesn't make sense from a science point of view. It just ignores all the science, ignores all the physics. How the hell does this happen? And I think because of this twist, one of two things are bound to happen. Either one, you'll start to feel that the story is trying to overcomplicate itself, or two, you feel like because you're trying to think logically, you'll start to overcomplicate things about this story. Lastly, I felt that the way the characters express their feelings, express their love, are a little too direct. They're not really, they don't, the writing, they don't like to have fun with the way the characters show their emotion or express their love for each other. It's more like just the basic, I love you, and that's pretty much it. And so I felt that the way these characters would express their feelings or love for each other is it was just too direct or too normal. I don't know how else to describe it. It didn't really do anything creative with that. But if you're alright with this kind of simple way that characters would express their love for each other, good on you. But overall, what did I think of My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday? I felt honestly that it was an interesting story. The plot, despite all the kind of logic fails and loopholes, I thought the plot was well written. If you can kind of just get over that sense of logic. And despite everything not making so much sense from a logical point of view, the way the story unravels, especially in the final act, once you get to go back and rethink of the events that happened earlier in the film, I thought everything fell into place quite fine. And in the end, I felt it was a nice, bittersweet story about honest love and doing your best despite knowing that eventually all good things will come to an end. Do I recommend this movie? Yeah, I do, especially if you're a fan of Miki Takahiro and his filmography. If you're a fan of romantic stories, though I must warn you, if you're not into anything complicated or if you want something simple, this movie might not be for you. As I mentioned earlier, a lot of the plot elements tend to overcomplicate the story. And I talk a lot about the big secret of Emmy's, this big twist, this big reveal, but I still don't want to reveal it into too much detail here. But honestly, you can take a look at the English title of this movie and you can kind of figure out what it is from there. And if you want me to explain thoroughly about my dislike towards this big reveal, leave a comment below and I'll try to reply and explain the best to my ability. But do I think this movie would do well for a date night of sorts? Yeah, I think it'll do alright, especially if your date is the kind to be easily moved by tear-jerking stories. I think you might find a winner with this one. And so yes, those are my thoughts on My Tomorrow, Your Yesterday. What did you guys think? Or what kind of questions did you guys have? Let me know in the comment section below. Don't forget to leave a like in this video and subscribe to Asia Filmist to join in more discussions and reviews of Asia film. Follow me on Facebook and Twitter and all the good stuff. And as always, everyone, thank you so much for watching and hope to see you all again in the next video. Take it easy.